Welcome back to Chat's Coffee Hour. Tonight I have a very special guest, a guy I can't wait to get on and on the show here and talk with him for a little bit. If you know anything about horror movies or anything like that, then you obviously know who he is, because I call him the king or the guru of the horror movies. He's got lots of great videos and content on YouTube and Instagram. He didn't need no introduction, but we're going to introduce him anyway. Sean, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So how's the new year treating you so far?
It's been good. Finally getting a little bit of a break before I start hitting the road again hard.
Right.
And let me see. I'm gonna take one of these out. That way I didn't
Okay.
hear it. I feel like I'm talking too loud while I have both in my ears. um, but yeah, it's just been nice having a break. And unfortunately, I'm still busy getting things sorted and booked for the upcoming convention year.
Right.
But I've been having fun with some downtime, able to tackle some projects at home and personal things, stuff like working on my channel whenever I can. So,
Right. Yeah. When's the first convention coming up this year?
well, I've already had people at a few.
Okay.
Had New Orleans Fan Expo, and then that was like not this past weekend, the weekend before. Then this past weekend was Fan Expo Portland, but I didn't have to go to either of them.
Okay.
I was able to send someone else. So the first one I personally have to attend is CreepyCon in Ontario, California, and fortunately I can drive to that one. So
Yeah, that'd be good. No flights or anything, especially nowadays.
yeah, I don't have
Oh,
to get on a plane until the weekend after that. So
right. Now, do you do any like the Dragon Cons and Comic Cons and all that, or is it pretty much just the horror conventions?
oh no, I tons of Comic Cons. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't do. It's funny. I've booked somebody into Dragon Con. I've
Hmm.
never been. Um,
Really?
I
Okay.
yeah, for whatever reason, I think the person who does the booking there kind of is set in the people they like to work with, and they don't really go outside the box. That might
Okay.
be why I see a ton of repeat guests at Dragon Con.
Right.
Um, but whatever. I
Yeah.
mean,
I like to see
there are
variety at shows.
there's so many conventions now
Yeah.
that it's no big deal to me. If you want to do something else, cool. I mean,
R-
I've got plenty of work. I'm not hurting.
No,
So
no, because you're if you can say, I mean, you're an agent to how many people?
I don't know. Easily over 200. I
Wow.
would I would think. I'm guessing over 200. I haven't counted, and
Yeah.
I know at one point it was like 300. Then I
Oh
decided I had to
my.
trim the fat a little bit because there was, it was getting to the point where you. I hate to say this. I don't want to sound like conceited or something, but
Mhm.
you get to a point where you have to start. You can't say yes to every celebrity that reaches out to you. You have
Yeah.
to sit down and realize, is this person. You have to put aside your personal feelings as a fan and say, okay, is this person really worth our time, all the
Okay.
time and work that we put into bringing a guest to a convention? um, you have to weigh that because time is money in our
Right.
business. I mean, I'm spending so much time on the phone with clients, with promoters, booking flights, ordering photos, creating banners, printing banners, ordering pens,
Right.
for markers and post-it notes and the hanging things to stick on the wall, to hang up banners. I mean, the little down to the little details, everything takes time. And I've come to find that the most the clients that take up your most time
Mhm.
are tend to be the smaller clients, in regards to the less famous,
Okay.
the the more time they take, because you have to push harder to try to get them booked. You have to fight harder for them.
Right.
Uh, they're constantly the ones that are bugging you, like, "Hey, man, I could use some money right now, or I don't have anything going on,"
Right.
and or, "Hey, I mean, the ones that that kind of make me crazy are the ones that are constantly messaging me going, "Hey, I saw there's this convention in Indiana. Do you think they would be interested in me?" That's like,
Mm,
do you not think that I'm not trying to book you everywhere? I mean, I'm trying, it's like,
right.
and it's just a random, like, I'm gonna call that promoter, "Hey, this person." They'll be like, "What? Why?" Well, they asked me.
Right,
I mean,
right.
usually you want to book people into things that make sense. Um, like for example, uh, a fan messaged me today that they noticed a reunion of a particular. I don't want to say what it is because my stuff hasn't been announced yet. But a
Okay.
fan messaged me today and said, "Hey, this convention is doing a reunion of this movie. I know you've got one of the main guys and the director. You should reach
Mm,
out to them." And that one slipped by me. I didn't know about it. I'm sure I would have found out eventually. I guess they just announced it, but they hadn't reached out to me. So I reached out to them today and said, "Hey, I noticed this. Are you interested in these guys?" And they're like, "Definitely. Let's do it." So that stuff makes
right.
sense. That stuff happens. But when somebody just goes, "Hey, I heard about this convention. Can you see if they want me?" It's like, if we're going to play that game, you're going to be messaging me every day about a different show. There's
Right.
hundreds of shows. And that kind of stuff takes time. I
Yeah.
don't have to. There's no shortage of people of me. Like Matthew Lillard isn't calling me saying, "Dude, can I do a show?" No, I mean, it. I'm. We're overwhelmed with offers for Matthew Lillard. You know what I mean? Uh, if anything, I'm the one contacting him, going, "Hey, there's 10 more offers. Any of these interest you?" You know, I don't have to worry about a guy like that. That guy practically books himself based on his popularity. But when you're working on victim number 8 from Friday 13th, part 7,
Yeah, right.
it's that's when the promoters are like, what's the draw? Because they book based on draw. They make their money at the door. The
Okay,
promoter makes their
right.
money at the door selling tickets. Is this person gonna sell tickets? You know, and 9 times out of 10, those guys aren't going to sell tickets. If they're doing a Friday 13th part, what did I say, 6?
Yeah,
Part 6
whichever one it was.
reunion, maybe they would be interested in throwing that person in on it.
Right.
But if they're not the lead and they're just a random victim and they're couldn't even tell you what the character's name is kind of thing, there's not a huge draw. And then, again, I spend all my time fighting to get the booking and spend all this time booking the flights and the travel and the cars and the hotels
Mm,
and all this stuff. And then the person makes $1,500. That means I made a whopping $150 for all that effort
right.
at the end of the weekend. Is
Yeah.
is that worth my time? That's the problem. And that's so what I was saying about trimming the fat, I had to at some point sit back and go, I need to just kind of quietly take some of these people off the website that haven't booked a gig in like 4 years.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're like you try to keep the actors, actresses, whatever, to that would what they keep them to the sign to the best convention that way they would probably do the best at is what I'm trying to say, that
Of
make the most
course.
sense. Yeah, that makes yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
I believe me, I wish I could get these guys out everywhere every weekend. They were all making a ton of money, but everything in this business is fan driven. And if the
Mm,
fans don't if there's not a demand there from the fans, what can I do? Just
yeah.
because I love a certain movie and I love a certain character, or it doesn't mean they're going to sell anything. It's
Right.
just my weird interests. And you can't always book on based on what you love.
Right.
I'm a fan and I want to work with the people I love. I want to work with people from the movies I love. But if I'm a minority on that, you know,
Yeah. Oh, that makes complete sense. Yeah, 'cause you did a show a while back with the I remember what the title was, the convention booking episode, and that was I really enjoyed that episode. It took me a couple of times to get through because I had a lot of stuff come up, but man, that brought a whole insight to it that people don't see. It was really good when you had all those guys on. That was
Yeah, that
that was really
I
good.
think that episode got more positive feedback than from anything I've ever posted.
Yeah.
In fact, across the board, nothing but positive feedback with the exception of one promoter. One promoter at
Mm.
one show kind of yelled at me about it,
Mm.
said that I was basically pulling back the curtain on the industry and that I shouldn't have done that. And I was like, I don't really feel like I said anything that is a big secret. It's not common knowledge to a lot of fans, but I think it's good for them to know these things. I mean, his one of his biggest gripes was that I talked about guarantees, about celebrities getting guarantees.
Mm.
And I looked at him and I said, "Why would you be mad about that? Why wouldn't you, as the promoter, want the fans to know that you put your ass on the line to bring these celebrities in, that you're guaranteeing X amount of money? And if they don't make it, that comes out of your pocket. Why wouldn't you want them to know that?"
Right.
I mean, I don't see I mean, what the issue was. So,
Yeah. Well, it seems like there's, they always say there's always one in every crowd that you can't please everybody. But I thought it was a really good show. It was very good. One last question on the thing. Now, do you have anybody helping you at all in this? Is it all on your back alone? The booking and all this with all your clients.
well, the booking part is 100% me.
Okay.
Uh, but my fiance slash wife, whatever you want to call her, we're technically not married, but we technically are. I mean, it's like we've been together 10 years and been engaged for like 4. Um, Nay, she handles most of the travel
Okay.
stuff, and she also does all the graphic design work for us. So she'll do all the graphic design of banners, um, and she also goes on the road either with me or without me. Like she was in Portland this past weekend working with Keith David, um, and so we're not always together, but we usually are. We usually travel together and work together, and then she'll also work at a client's table during the weekend, and do that. And while I usually don't do that anymore. I used to do it, but now I kind of stay uh, free and mobile to put out fires or take
Right.
care of things. Like if you've got like 10 clients in one convention, you got 10 different people that at any time can say, "Hey, I need this," or "Hey, can you get this?" or "Can we do this?" And so I want to be the guy that can run and take care of it and not be stuck at a table.
Yeah.
It makes things move smoother. It also helps having me be mobile and not sitting with a client helps settling up at the end of the weekend faster, because as the show is winding down on a Sunday, I can be running around and getting ahead of things before the client has to leave to try to catch a plane.
Right.
They're going to the photo ops company, getting the numbers from them, and then getting the check for photo ops, and then having that ready for the client as they're leaving. There's a lot of moving parts. So uh, I rarely sit with a client anymore. I've sat with Chris Nelson at several shows, mainly because we have the podcast together. So, um, but I'm not like stuck there. I can get up and go, but I'll usually just sit there with him because fans of the show will come up and want to talk to both of us.
Yeah, and
So,
I'm sure they appreciate that too. Because they get help. You're not stuck, like you said. You can help more people at more than one time. So I think they appreciate that as well. You
mhm.
get spread
What is
thin.
that
You get
hanging off of your thing? What is that? Oh, it's a
what is it?
hammerhead shark.
It's my hammerhead
Okay.
shark, little guy. Yeah,
Okay, I couldn't tell from the angle it was hanging
yeah.
at.
It's kind of yeah. I can't keep him up like this. It didn't want to stay, but you know how it is. Things never work like good. Yeah, in fact, I met you this last year now. Technically, boy, this the time just goes so fast. We was at the Whorehound in Indianapolis, and
Mhm.
That was our first time there. Absolutely loved it. In fact, I still got my stickers that you
Oh,
gave me.
nice.
Still got those, but yeah, that was that was just a great show. We were there. My main draw, actually, believe it or not, and it turned out that you actually represented her, which I had no a clue at the time, was Amy Donald, who played Megan in that show. That was
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that was my first time. We know we did the meet and greet of the picture or whatever you want to call it, and it's like you can tell that these people have done it before because it was just like a science. How they have these lines. As soon as we went out, boom, the boards erased,
yeah.
new names on, new lines form. I looked at my fiance and I said, "You can tell they've done this a time or two." It
Yeah.
just amazed me how they moved it so fast.
Did you get the picture with her in the costume?
Yeah, yeah, that's what we
Okay,
did. Yeah, we
cool.
sure did. And we got the digital, and I got they printed off the 8 by, and that's what amazed me. It's like these pictures are just shooting out. Everybody got their own picture, like just I mean, within literally a minute when you got out of there. I was like, it
Yeah.
just I mean, you see it all the time, so it's not really impressive to you after a while, but you probably get used to it. But
No,
for us, it's
I am
wow.
always impressed. I am
It's
impressed by like
they
companies like that one,
yeah.
CPO, who does photo ops for Horror Hound. They are fast. They are on it. I mean, I'm not going to say names of other companies, but there's plenty of other companies we deal with where fans are standing around for over an hour waiting for a picture, and they're
Mhm.
like, "Are you kidding me?" You know, and it's
Yeah,
like, man, you got to up your game because
right.
these guys are on it. You know,
Yeah, it was impressive. They just moved them in and out and got everything done, and it was just when you look at something like that, it amazed me like that. And I'd also picked up. You've probably seen this before, I know
oh yeah.
the old Santa Mira or
I should probably grab one of those since Trick or Treat doesn't have the license anymore. I never got one of
oh
those.
really? They don't, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they lost the license to Halloween 3, so all their Halloween 3 merchandise is going bye-bye.
Wow,
So,
that's sad, but
yeah.
yeah, that movie. I mean, it's Halloween, but it's in its own realm. But it's just a classic. I just enjoy that show. It's just a good movie. It really was.
It is, yeah.
You
I
know,
agree.
so I mean, I still enjoy. Um, don't be mad at me when I say this. I still enjoy the original Halloween 1 and 2, and I always thought when I was growing up that's where it ended. Halloween 2, he's dead. It's gone. But then you start getting these 4, 5, and 6, and but
Hey.
now these newer shows really were they I liked how they really tied the, original together very well, so
Mhm.
I thought that was pretty neat. Um, tell us a little bit about your background, son. Where are you from? Are you originally from California? Are you born elsewhere? Or
I was born in Anchorage, Alaska,
oh, okay, I was stationed
and,
up there, so
oh, yeah. Yeah, not
Elmendorf,
the
yeah.
funnest town in the world. Um,
No,
but I moved to California when I think I was 6.
okay,
So I went back a lot because I had my grandparents lived there and stuff, and they're gone now. But I haven't been back to Alaska. Gosh, it's been like 20 years, so it's been a while.
yeah,
But I used to go all the time, like once a year. So I'm very familiar with Anchorage.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I just grew up in California. Um, as far as how I got in this business, I mean, it's just a series of dumb like dumb luck. I mean,
right,
I was a horror fan. I started going to horror conventions in like 88. I think it was my first one. And it just every year it was literally there was like one convention in California that I knew about. And it was the Fangoria Weekend of Horrors, and it was once a year. And every year me and my friends we'd book a hotel room. 6 of us jammed into one hotel room. It would be a party all weekend. We had a blast, and we looked forward to it like Christmas.
right,
And just from going to those and meeting people and making friends and contacts, and with never having any intention at all to be in the business I'm in now, things just kept happening. Like things just, I just kept getting lucky, and like
right,
opportunities would happen. And I mean, I think one of the first things that really kind of blew my mind and was, I think it was in 92, I think it was, we met Reggie Bannister from Phantasm. And me and my friends were so obsessed with Reggie. We were like obsessed with that character. And it was just like we quoted him constantly, loved Reggie. And then we met him at a convention, and he was that guy. I mean,
Mm.
first off, his name is Reggie,
Right.
the character in the movie. He's Reggie, the Reg
Right.
Man. And you talk to him, and he was just the most cool, down to earth dude. And I think he was so maybe enamored by how just starstruck we were over him,
Right.
that he was just so flattered. He was like, "Hey guys, if we're making the third Phantasm movie, if you want to come by the set one day." And we're like, "What?"
Right.
And anyway, we ended up going by the set twice, two different times. And it was crazy. One day we spent with him, and I have this on film. This is my buddy Lawton filmed the whole thing, the whole day. He took us on a little tour of some of the filming locations from the original Phantasm, and then took us to the set of Phantasm 3, and that was at an actual mausoleum.
Hmm.
And we got to hang out. And then this is the one that I really regret. Um, we went another day to the warehouse where they had built all the sets. And for some reason, even though Reggie didn't say we couldn't, we felt like, oh, we probably shouldn't film here
Right.
because, and we didn't. And then afterwards, I remember Reggie going, "Hey man, you should have taken pictures and we're like, we didn't even take a photo on set.
Oh,
And
wow.
but at the mausoleum set, which was a real mausoleum, we filmed a bunch of stuff and took photos. I got all kinds of stuff. But on the sets, which was in a warehouse, I remember you'd walk in. I can remember exactly how, it was like a little maze of different rooms from the movie. And it was
Hmm.
so awesome. And I so regret not getting any pictures or filming it at all. But we became really good friends. I became really good friends with Reggie. And that was just one of those, like, it was just kind of like stepping a little closer into that world,
Right.
And I mean, I ended up selling his house for him because I was in the mortgage business, and one of my buddies also did real estate on the side. So
Hmm.
he and I helped Reggie sell his house. I mean, weird stuff like that, Um, but through those friendships, we were able to, meet all these people, and doors would open. And it's just, again, I can sit down and pinpoint everything that happened that led me to right where I am right now. And it's all because of my love of horror films. And,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, because I look back, I see some of those videos and like pictures show like he's really actually on a set of Halloween, these Halloween movies. It just blows my mind. It's pretty wild.
well, that
You know.
is, I mean, and that's only what, 2007 was the first time I was on a Halloween set, which was Rob's first film. And, uh, that the first time I was on a set would have been, I think trying to think if Phantasm 3 was the first set I was on, or if I was in the Alex Winter movie Freaked as an extra, and I was on set. Those are both around the exact same time, 92,
Mm,
93.
okay.
I can't remember which one was first. For some reason, I think Freaked was, because I remember being totally blown away by, I mean, that was a big production. Phantasm 3 was pretty low budget, Um, but Phantasm 3 was not an abandoned warehouse, but just an empty warehouse where they built sets. Where Freaked was at a studio. You went to an actual studio and went in the big buildings, and like, wow, look at this.
Right.
They had the kick-ass catering craft service there, and anything you wanted to eat. It was, so, but yeah, it was, being on set, it's pretty magical. Um, Although very boring. I think people would be surprised how boring it can get on set, because there's a lot of just sitting around waiting a lot. It's not as exciting. It's exciting, but it can be
Right.
pretty dull. Yeah.
Yeah. I was on the set. It's not a horror movie. Do you remember the show Ed about the bowling alley lawyer back in 2000, 2004? It was on NBC. Well, it was one of
No.
my favorite TV shows, and I actually got to go out there, and she let me shoot anywhere I want with video, but except for the scenes, obviously the areas where they were actually shooting. And like you said, it to me it was awesome. It was one of my favorite shows. Like, oh my god, I'm really here. But like you said, yeah, she offered up the food, and the spread they had was just unreal. Like you said, the amount of food there. So it is a unique
Yeah.
experience if you get to do it. I recommend everybody at least doing it. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that your so would you consider that your first filming location for a movie, the Phantasm technically, or did you or what was the first one? Because I'd love to watch your movie filming locations. The editing you do, it's funny how you put you react to some of these scenes on there. I'm
Mhm.
telling you what, it's one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen. The editing is great on
Oh.
that. So what was
Thank
your
you.
first? Yeah, you're welcome. What was the first movie that you did a filming location video for? Do you remember?
Well, the technically the first dedicated video would have been Halloween, but
Okay.
the where it began was Monroeville Mall, Dawn of the Dead. When
Okay.
in 1993 we went to Monroeville, Pennsylvania for the Zombie Jamboree, which was the 25th anniversary of Night of the Living Dead, and it took place right across the street from the mall from Dawn of the Dead. So we went over there and we're walking around filming, just me and my friends being morons, just like reenacting zombies. And, we
Uh,
got kicked out of JC Penney's because we kept going up and down the elevator and I
oh,
slid down the escalator, all the stuff you're not supposed to do when we're getting
right.
yelled at. Anyway, that experience of being there. Now, this is 93. The mall still looked exactly like it did in the movie. The only thing that had changed at that point was the ice skating rink had been turned into a food court. Otherwise, all of the stairs, the escalators, the fountains, the little bridges, all that stuff was still there.
Hmm.
And it was a real magical feeling. I, I felt like I was in the movie. And this weird feel, I've explained this before. It's like a feeling of going back to your childhood home or school, and you're getting this rush of nostalgia. But I had never been there. I had just seen it so many
Right.
times. I recognize it. So it feels like I've been there. And it was
Exactly.
a bizarre feeling. And I was like, wow, I would love to get this feeling again. So that's when I started seeking out filming locations, and Halloween is the one I really went after first once I got back to California.
Yeah, because you've been to England. You've done that one not too long ago. I saw the no, wasn't it American Werewolf in London. That was
Yeah.
another classic show too. But that was funny when when the editing in that one too was hilarious. I laughed quite a few times in that one. But you did a good job. I mean, the way you and like I said, you go in and you see that where the slaughtered lamb. You would never thought that was a film there. You know, you'd think that was
Yeah.
a studio. But yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
one.
I love doing it. It's a hobby for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do the channel for money. I mean, it is monetized, so I make a little scratch, but it's absolutely just a passion. It's just something I do for fun. That's why things take so long. I'm not somebody who's pumping out new videos every day.
Right.
I do them when I have the time. I mean, I have about at least a dozen Horrors Hallowed Grounds episodes shot that I'm trying to edit, like, because the editing for me takes the longest because I'm kind of an insane perfectionist. I
Right.
don't feel like my videos are perfect by any means, but I push myself to, as hard as I can to get things just right. And I mean, there's been times I've gone back. There's two videos in particular, three videos in particular that I went to another state to film. I filmed them. I got home, realized I missed something or wasn't happy with something, and waited an entire year to go back to
Oh
shoot it
wow.
again. Like one of them was I'm working on Near Dark right now, and it's done. But I went I try to do it during my convention schedule to make it convenient, right? So I did it 2 years ago at Mad Monster Party in Arizona. So they shot Near Dark in Arizona. So I came in like a day early and went and filmed everything. But the thing that was driving me crazy is I couldn't find I found the house that I was told and verified that they shot the interiors of Caleb's house, who was the lead guy in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
Adrian Pazdar. Um, I found the house that was the interiors, but the exterior of the farm, which is a big part of that movie, couldn't find it.
Hmm.
Well, I found it like after I got home, did more research, found it, and I said, I'm not putting this video out until I get that. So I had to go. I waited till the next year, Mad Monster Party,
Hmm.
went back, did it again. Now I'm back. I have everything, and it's just a matter of getting it edited. Same thing happened with I did Exorcist 1 and Exorcist
Hmm.
3. And I did
Okay.
that when I was at Monster Mania in Maryland. Got home. The one place I could not get into because it had been shut down since COVID was the Tombs. It's a
Hmm.
bar there in town, I guess famous for St. Elmo's Fire as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
But they shot scenes from The Exorcist 1 and 3 inside that bar. And I'm like, God damn it, I gotta get in that bar. Well, then I found out literally they reopened the bar like the week after I left. So
Oh
I had to
man.
wait. I waited a year, went
Yeah.
back, shot it. Also, I found that there was one shot that I did of a certain thing that I guess maybe I didn't hit record. That happens sometimes when you're shooting with an iPhone. You think it's recording, and then and unless you check the footage afterwards, I
Mm.
try to always check now because it's bitten me in the ass before. Hence the whole video on the COAs for my Lost Boys jacket. But anyway, but it's I was able to go back and reshoot that little bit that I missed. So those are in the process of being edited. The one I'm working on right now that's almost done, which will be my next one I put up, is Clockwork Orange, which was all England, and that one is going to be my biggest episode ever. It's going to be the longest episode, and it's probably the most detailed of any episode I've ever done. I went really all out on that one. So,
Right. What's the
and
worst
I've been
experience?
to those locations like multiple times, like
Yeah.
dating back to 2002 was the first time I visited those locations. Oh, bad experiences. Yeah. So anyway, I didn't do anything illegal, but I was able to get what I needed to get without his permission. But I had permission from somebody else that was working on the property that kind of slipped me in a side gate. And maybe I
Right.
slipped him a little cash. So
But you
anyway.
got in there. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's I mean, people like people that buy these houses or whatever that were famous homes in these famous movies. They're gonna kind of realize that people are gonna come around. They're
Yeah.
just gonna have to. Or why would you buy that? I mean, to me, he's like, how do you not know that this is this house in this movie? Especially if it's a pretty large movie. So you think they'd be. I mean, I can understand
Well,
having a little privacy, but
yeah. Well, this particular location, it's a historic building in a gated community. Okay.
mm,
And it's a famous building that's been used in multiple movies, multiple music videos, like very famous music videos. Probably most famous would be Total Eclipse of the Heart by
okay,
uh, Bonnie Tyler, Alphaville's Forever Young, sometimes sometimes Samantha by The Cure, Bark at the Moon by Ozzy. It's a
oh wow,
famous building. And it's
yeah,
like, I'm not asking to go in. I'm because they didn't use the interior in the movie. I just want to get shots of the building,
right,
outside of the, because it was used as the exterior of the school. It was Slaughter High in the movie Slaughter High. And they just was not having it. And I'm like, dude,
right.
come on.
Yeah, that's a shame. I would
Taking
definitely
pictures
tell.
of
I'd be like, "Come on in,"
yeah.
if it was me doing that. So, um, And kind of wondered a little bit about the Halloween 45 that you did last year. Have you posted any videos
Mhm.
on that yet? Or
I shot no videos. I
okay,
was too busy. I
okay,
was working my ass off. I had made plans to have a friend of mine follow me around all weekend and document how busy I was and what was going on. I thought it would have been a very interesting video, and it would have,
hmm,
but I literally was coming off of COVID. I had been down for a
mm,
few weeks with COVID, and I was not in the greatest shape uh, doing that. I mean, I, I literally finally tested negative like the day before I had to leave
mm,
for the convention. I mean,
right,
it was it added another level of stress onto the whole thing because I was sitting there freaking out, going, I cannot not be there. I mean, this
right.
is, of all the conventions I do, the one that I have the most responsibility at because, like I was saying, remember I was saying earlier, when you have 10 guests there, you need to be able to run around, do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had like 60 guests there
Oh,
because I rep the majority of those Halloween people,
yeah.
on top of being one of the event organizers, on top of having to do the bus tours.
I say use a
Um,
tour guide too.
yeah, it was, yeah, when it came down to um, the whole like idea of the filming thing, I was just like, you know what?
It's too much.
Don't worry about it. There's
Yeah.
going to be so many people filming this thing. There's going to be so many videos, and there were. Um, I think mine would have been a real interesting peek behind the curtain, so to speak. Uh, and I think it would have been great. And
Right.
in
It would. Yeah.
retrospect, I wish I would have done it, but it.
I'd love to went out to that if I was close. I would definitely would have been out to that. Would have been a lot of fun. So, now did you make it?
Yeah.
Were you guys able to get on the property of the hospital Halloween too? I believe it's a VA hospital now. Were you able to get on that?
Yes. So, interesting story. So I've always wanted to include that in the tour. It is very far out of the way from any of the other locations, and it is off limits. It's private property.
Hmm.
It's government property, but
Yeah.
it's not like there's a guard at the gate. There's I think there's three entrances. None of them have guards. It's open. I have gotten in trouble there before filming, and basically run out of there. I was actually detained once and had to go to court.
Mm,
It was just bad timing when we were shooting
right.
Halloween 25 Years of Terror documentary. It just so happens the day we went there to film the hospital, there was a terrorist, what a alert for VA hospitals, a terrorist alert,
Mm, yeah. Rough
and
timing.
yeah, so we did not get met with open arms. They literally, three cop cars pulled up and they drew weapons on us, and we're like,
Mm,
whoa,
right.
we're just nerds.
No clue what's
Um,
going on.
yeah. But anyway, they dropped the charges. I had to go to court. They dropped the charges. It was all good. But anyway, cut to now. I wanted to do something really cool, something different, something the fans hadn't been able to get before. So when we did the bus tours, there was 6 buses, uh, and I had them going in groups of 2. So 2, 2, and 2, right? Different routes,
Right. Okay.
hitting all the same locations except for my tour was going to be an extra hour long, and it was going to go to the Halloween 2 hospital, which is it in the shirt? Is
Yep.
the hospital on the shirt?
I don't
No,
know.
it's just no. Well,
No.
he's standing in the doorway at the hospital.
Yeah. There
Um,
you
and Rob Zombie. It's also the same, on the same complex is Smith's Grove Sanitarium from Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Oh, I did not know
Um,
that.
yeah, they're on the same property.
Okay.
There's multiple buildings. It's a huge, like square mile facility. And anyway, so my master plan was we just don't ever ask for permission.
Right. Ask
If
for
if
forgiveness.
I would ask for permission, I would have been shut down 100%. It's best to claim ignorance and apologize.
Right.
So we drove two huge buses, like 60 people each in these buses, big luxury buses, onto this property, right? With these tiny ass little roads where they're two little 2-lane roads that no car could get around the bus. Literally, you're taking the whole road,
Right.
right? We drive in. I had pinpointed a spot that I thought we could park at. It was behind a building, like a loading dock area. Pulls the two buses in. And I told all the fans ahead of time, I said, hey guys, we're not supposed to be here. We're going to bonsai this. We're going to start with the Halloween 2 hospital. Get your pics, get your videos as fast as you can. And we're going to walk to the Rob Zombie one, nail that, and jump on the bus and get the hell out of here. Odds are cops are going to come. Odds are they're going to stop us at some point. But let's try to see everything before that happens. Right.
Right.
Which I think that whole scenario added an element of excitement and like we're doing something bad. Everybody
Right.
was into it.
Right.
Everybody was totally into the vibe of like we're doing something, that's taboo. So we pull up. I see the security guard on a little like golf cart. He pulls up and he's looking at us, and I'm like, "Fuck, we're gonna get nailed before we even get off the bus."
Right.
I'm looking at him like we haven't even got off the bus yet. He just turns around, drives away. I don't know if he just didn't want to deal with it, but he left. We got out. We all went over Halloween 2 stuff. We got it. We all walk. We're walking around we walk past this one section from Rob Zombie's Halloween. I point that out. We get to the entrance of Smith's Grove. I point that out. We're walking around to where the sign was. And two cop cars come.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, I just keep walking and doing my thing. And, unfortunately, they're like, oh, it's that guy. You want to? So the guy comes up to me. I explain, hey, we're doing this thing. It's 45th anniversary. We're doing bus tours. And, that's okay, but it's government property. You're actually trespassing. There's no trespassing signs. There aren't any signs. And he said, well, he goes, look, he talked to us way too long. He was cool, but he could have just said leave, but he wanted us to hear all the stories of why we couldn't be there. But he said, look, there are posted signs at every entrance that have an ordinance number. That ordinance number is that it's government property and there's no trespassing. He goes, but how are you going to know what that ordinance number means? I'm like, exactly. Right. So he goes, they really need to change those signs. I've been telling them for years. They need to update it, but whatever. Anyway, he was nice. He said, okay, you guys got to leave. So I walked everybody a different way to get back to the bus to pass the very last thing we needed to see. And so we saw everything.
Nice.
We got to see everything.
Nice.
And I didn't get a ticket or nothing. We got on the buses and we got out of there.
So. Nice. Yeah, I had a guest sign waiver for you guys. You might be incarcerated. No, that's cool.
And Dick Warlock went with us, so he was there with us, which was an extra bonus.
That is awesome. I know you're got obligations, so I don't want to keep you much longer here. One last thing, and I dare ask this, I probably shouldn't. Have you ever gotten those COAs yet on those jackets?
No.
Wow.
It's become a pissing contest.
Yeah,
I definitely, you could say, oh, you did it to yourself or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it got to a point where I knew that they're just so pissed at me that they're not going to give them to me.
Right.
And here's the thing. I'm not bummed about it. It doesn't devalue them at all. Quite frankly, a COA from them doesn't really mean shit because they get shit wrong all the time. I've seen them sell plenty of stuff that isn't real.
Wow.
So as a buyer, you really need to do the research on your own and make sure that what you're purchasing is the real deal. And I do that every time. And I've documented everything. I have all the documentation. I have the receipts of me buying them. I have the screenshots of all of the auction stuff. I have I high res scan the COA they gave me. I have the pictures of the ones they won't give me. I mean, I have, I've talked to the person who actually consigned them to them. So I've spoke to
Right.
the person directly who they came from.
You know they're legit.
I have all the proof I need.
Right.
It comes down to principle. It's just principle. It's like, dude, you spend that much money on something. Come on,
But
guys. Common
but
sense.
right, but it's like, you're Sean Clark, you do this, that's, you spend a lot of money with them, and they should know you that, hey, you're not some yahoo that's trying to pull one over on them. I think that, just shocking me that was a thing,
Well, they're using that as an excuse. They have to have an excuse as to why they won't give them to me. And the real reason stems back to my Hellraiser 3 Pillar of Souls video
Oh, yeah, that
where
was
I
interesting too.
criticized. That's where it started. It started there
Okay.
where I criticized the guy that works at the prop store who's a bigwig there, and he came out, he treated me like shit. I don't have a clue if he knew I was the customer. I don't know.
Yeah,
Either
it's
way,
terrible.
he treated me terrible, was rude to me, and I brought it up in the video. Then the head of prop store contacts me. Now, mind you, this is before the COA incident.
Right.
And they basically asked me to take the video down because it made him look bad. And I said, then he shouldn't treat people like shit. You know,
Right.
all I'm doing is telling the truth. This is what happened. If he doesn't want to look bad on video, or he doesn't want to look bad and have people give bad reviews, you're going to go yell at Yelp. People put
Right.
bad reviews all the time. I'm giving a
Right.
bad review of poor customer service.
Yep, it was.
On
I saw
top of
that
the
video. I couldn't believe it.
Well, they also wasted my day
Yeah.
and my money having to rent this van that they told me I'd be able to use. And then I get there and the guys in the shipping department are like, dude, you can't lay this thing down. Who told
Yeah.
you that? And I'm like, the guy here told me that. And they're like, that guy doesn't know shit.
Yeah, that's
Well,
bad.
and then you would think the guy would come out and go, I'm so sorry. We're going to take care of we're going to
Right.
deliver this to you. Can I
Make it
get you a
right.
water? Mr. Clark, he walked out and he looked at it and he goes, what's the problem? Put some bubble wrap around it, throw it in, put it in the van. And I'm just like, look at this guy. I don't think he knew I was the customer. I
Yeah.
think he just
It may
thought I
not have.
was some punk that was, because I looked more like the guys that worked in their shipping department. They had tattoos and they're like punker guys that were working in the shipping department. And I don't, I was getting a glimpse behind the curtain of how he really works. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Exactly.
then he found out I was the guy, and then still didn't change his demeanor at all.
That's
I was like, okay,
crazy. Yep,
yeah,
yep, I'm done here. So, yeah, that's bad. One last thing, I gotta point out, I've seen this before, the
mhm,
statues behind you there, Count Chocula and Frankenberry. Love those things.
yeah,
Those things are really cool. I
yeah.
was like, "Where
Yeah,
did I get
some
those from?"
independent
Yeah.
artist makes those.
Okay.
And he has a booth. He has a table at every Horror Hound Cincinnati. And I'm hoping that every year I've been trying to get him to do a new one every year. So I was talking to him about a Frankenbear, or excuse me, a Fruit Brute and a
Yeah.
Booberry.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know how he's going to do Booberry,
That'd
but
be weird. Yeah, it'd be
you
hard
know,
to do a ghost. So,
yeah, I mean, you'd have to probably put him on a stand like he's floating or something. But
yeah,
obviously, the way he does these, they're his own sort of artist interpretation. So
looks good. Looks real good.
yeah, in a way, I kind of don't want him to do anymore because I'm running out of space. But,
Yeah, your
but.
collection is immaculate. It's like, I don't know how anybody's got near this amount of stuff you got all around. I love watching those too when you do the collection of videos. They're very interesting too. So
Yeah,
it's
and
pretty
it's
neat.
getting worse, man. It's become such a sickness. I just picked up that. This is
Oh,
a
that is that
screen
a Freddy
used
Krueger
Freddy.
hand? Yeah.
It's a Freddy glove and a screen
Okay.
used sweater sleeve.
Wow.
from an effects arm. That's not the effects arm, but that's the sleeve that came
That was
off an
on it.
effects arm.
Okay. Do you have room to add on?
Those
Do you have room to add on to your house?
not much. I already
Okay.
have, so
Okay. So you might need
I'm
to add
kind
some
of
room.
yeah, I'm kind of running out of. I don't think the neighborhood would allow a third story. So,
Right. Yeah. There you go.
excuse me,
Well, Sean, I hate cutting it
but yeah,
short,
it's
but
yeah,
you probably I know you got to go. You said you had some obligations you got to go to, but one last thing, where can
yeah,
people
yeah.
see your social media channels and all that? Because I'll put all the links when you
All of
below.
all my stuff, Instagram, Facebook, whatever is at and Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called now,
Yeah. Right.
at Malfunction, Malfunc. What is it? SEA. Yeah. MA Malfunc. Yeah. MALFUNCSEAN. And then it's also the same malfunction at malfunction on YouTube. Although I
Okay.
keep tinkering with the idea of changing the name on the YouTube channel just because it's not I'm not doing myself any favors with that stupid name. I need a catchy
Yeah.
sort of name like Chad's
Names.
Coffee Hour, you know.
It's kind of simple and plain, but hey, it is what. Now
But
you're
it's
gonna be at
easier
the.
to remember.
That's right. Now you're gonna be at the Horror Hound in Annapolis again this year. You know of?
Always. Well, I don't think they're doing Indianapolis this year. They're doing
Okay.
Cincinnati twice.
Okay.
Uh, but I'll be at I never miss a Horror Hound show. So
Okay.
I'll be at Horror Hound Cincinnati in March.
That's not too far. It's about 3 hours from here, so that's not too far. To reach out again
That's
for
my
that.
favorite one too. If you
Yeah.
had a good time in Indy,
Yeah.
do the Cincy one. It's a way better show. The venue is so cool. I really love the venue. They have a downstairs uh area where they bring all these different food vendors,
Mm-hmm.
like gourmet food vendors. So you'll have like 10 different food vendors down there serving all kinds of different foods. You're not getting that shitty convention center food. It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
good food. Yeah,
Get hot dogs and nachos.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun show. That's my favorite one. So
I'll have
you
to
should
check that
definitely
because
make
that's
it
not
out to
that
that
far.
one.
And when's that one again?
I want to say it's March 25th,
Okay.
26th, around that time. It's
Okay.
I believe it's that weekend. Let me look real quick. I have
Had
it
to
right
put in
here.
some
It
leave then for
is
that time, so make sure you get down there.
it's March 22nd to 24th.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely come to that one. That one's gonna be a banger.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, again, I want to thank you for your time, Sean. I appreciate. I know you're very busy. Obviously, people now will hear how busy you really are. So I'd love to have you on again sometime in the future when you
Yeah,
get some time, if you do. And have,
absolutely. Just hit me up.
sounds good. Enjoy the rest of the year, and look forward to seeing you soon. And keep doing what you're doing because we love watching your videos. They're very very fun and entertaining. You do a great job.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Have a
Take
good
care.
day. Yep. Bye
You
now.
too. Bye.
All right, that was Sean Clark, the sole proprietor of Horrors Hollowed Grounds. He does the podcast, The Thing with Two Heads, which is very good, with Christopher Nelson on there with him. And he does a lot of filming locations for horror movies, and it just very entertaining. So I'm going to post his information link below, so we can talk for hours with him. And he's just got so many good stories. Been around a lot of horror movies, so hope you enjoyed the episode. I really had fun with this one. So if you did like what you saw, please like and subscribe. I've got other podcasts down there as well, and I got a lot more coming on the way. So I want to thank you all again for tuning in. And until then, have a great time. I'll talk to you later.